pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Second Ward, Bill Carlos.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Ann Shershen, Sixth Ward.
Todd Tancredi, Supervisor.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
All right, we have a few public hearings on our agenda tonight. So I'd like to suspend the rules for public hearing number 1, McDonald Heights Center Map Amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close public hearing number 1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Want to read it?
So I go first?
Yeah.
Be it enacted, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to public hearing held on the 7th day of May, 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, does hereby amend the Town Code, Chapter 10, Article 3, specifically Section 210 to 211, which amendment, as attached, changes the zoning designation of properties located on Dutchess Turnpike and Darrow Place. And be it further enacted that the Town Board has previously declared its intent to act as the lead agency and to amend the zoning map as an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And be it further enacted that the Town Board has reviewed the short-form Environmental Assessment Form, EAF, prepared by the Director of Municipal Development, and determines that, 1, the adoption of herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and 2, a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for the reasons set forth in Part 2 of the EAF, and 3, a negative declaration is hereby issued. Be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 11, 2014 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development that said recommendation stated that the adoption of the herein zoning amendment is a matter of local concern, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 22, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, in which said board recommended adoption of the herein zoning amendment. And be it further enacted that the Town Clerk notify the clerks of surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239NN, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on April 18, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on April 23, 2014, and be it further enacted, said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Make a motion to open public hearing number 2, McDonald Heights Center Code Amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Joe?
Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 7th day of May, 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend Chapter 210, Article 7, specifically Section 210-27H. 1, and be it further enacted that the amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein. The Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they in fact had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted that the Town Board has previously declared its intent to act as lead agency under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and does declare that said action to be an unlisted action. And be it further enacted that the Town Board has reviewed the short form Environmental Assessment Form, EAF, prepared by the Director of Municipal Development, and hereby determines that 1, the adoption of the herein zoning amendment would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and 2, a draft environmental impact statement will not be required for the reasons set forth in the attached determination of no significance, and 3, a negative declaration is hereby issued, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 11, 2014 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development, stating that the proposed amendment was a matter of local concern, And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 22nd, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, in which said board recommended adoption of herein amendments. And be it further enacted that the town clerk notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on April 18th, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on April 23rd, 2014. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 3, River Point Residential and West Park Professional Building Approval of Senior Housing Overlay District.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone here to speak to public hearing number 3? Seeing no one, I make a motion to close public hearing number 3.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Be enacted, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 7th day of May, 2014, at 7 p.m. at the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Hall, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby amend the Town Code, Chapter 210, entitled Zoning, specifically Section 21020, which amendment is as follows. An application for a designation as a senior housing overlay district for a project known as River Point Residential and West Park Professional Buildings, and further identified as 2 parcels, one at 2055 South Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, consisting of 6.42 acres, parcel grid number 6159033775410, and one at 83 Old Post Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, consisting of 0.18 acre, parcel grid numbers 6159033365369, plus an additional 0.54 acres contiguous land in the New York State Highway right-of-way proposed for acquisition for the project, all being zoned office research. And be it further enacted, the Planning Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore been designated as lead agency and has determined that the proposed action is an unlisted action, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated April 11, 2014 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development stating that the proposed amendment was a matter of local concern. And be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated March 26, 2014 was received from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, in which said board recommended adoption of the herein amendments. And be it further enacted that the town clerk notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on April 18, 2014, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on April 23, 2014. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, is this still going to be luxury senior housing? Is it, have they
Plan.
checked? Because I see it's gotten much smaller,
Yeah.
and they've
that's
taken the restaurant out, but it's still going to be, because I wish there was somebody here.
supposed to be high-end.
Okay, because I wish there was somebody here to talk to us about what percentage
We-
occupancy they need to make it, and what happens if they don't.
Chris, are you here? If you're here representing this,
You can answer.
you need to, just sit down and, the routine, speak into the mic.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Lapine with the Chazen Companies, representing the applicant this evening. I can't talk about the occupancy rate that they need to make this.
Or what would happen if they don't meet the occupancy rate and they aren't making, or at least breaking even on the project?
I can't speak to that. I can give you a
Yeah.
discussion of, they've reduced it from 112 to
85.
85. And the reason behind this was the previous application had 112 units with the restaurant space and a standalone 30,000 square foot office building. In addition to that, with the underground parking and the project in terms of the feasibility of the construction versus the revenue was not economically feasible for the applicant. They've gone back and rerun their numbers. They've been working with a number of general contractors and determined that to make this a financially rewarding project, they'd have to eliminate the underground parking and consolidate the medical office use into the main
Right.
building.
So they're just
Thus
one
for-
building now.
So it's one building now, and it reduced the overall construction cost to where it's a viable project. Once again, I can't speak to the occupancy rates that are necessary.
I think smaller's better. I'd prefer to see it a little smaller anyway, so I'm in favor of the lower number of units. I think that's a good sign for the project if it should actually take place. So, all right. Anything else, Ann? Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 5-1. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 4, which is our stormwater annual report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to the stormwater? Yes, Doreen.
Later.
Yeah, just got a little cough.
I will be submitting written comments before the end of the comment period. I do have some issues with several construction projects that have gone on during the reporting period. For example, the Poughkeepsie Day School changes that were made that resulted in ponding of stormwater runoff, some issues with the library on Boardman Road. And again, construction site runoff is one of the leading polluters of our water. And, we drink the Hudson River water, and the more pollution in the water, the more it costs to clean that water. So it's really to everyone's benefit if stormwater is well managed. So I will be submitting written comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Anybody else? Sean? Sean Crimmins is one of our local engineers, works at the town half the week anyway.
Yeah, I just want to recap with the
Sure.
the annual report. Just in regards to the library, the project was started without the consent of the town.
Sean, can you tip that to the very end? Yeah, just.
Can you hear me
That's
now?
good, that's better.
It was started without a building permit, and the town really was unaware of any activities that happened on site. Luckily, there wasn't any runoff. The site was mostly contained. And then once we were made aware that the project had actually begun, we went onto the site and we remedied any issues that we had with containment. I just came to just do a recap of the annual report.
Sure, appreciate that.
We have 6 minimum control measures that the town upholds every year. We furnish this information to the DEC. They consist of public education and outreach, public involvement, participation, illicit discharge, elimination and detection, construction site runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and stormwater management of municipal operations. The most notable, I could list everything in the report, but you probably don't need to hear all that. But the most notable achievement that we got done this reporting period was the completion of the SWIMP. It's a stormwater management pollution plan. And it's a living document that is revised every year. And it's available for public comment. And it's right on the town's website.
Okay.
Sean, how long was it from when they started that construction without a permit to when we found out about it?
I think it was maybe 5 or 6 weeks or so.
5 or 6 weeks?
I believe so. I'm not 100% though.
And were they cited for the violation?
They received a stop work order.
Yes, they received a stop work order, and then they had to furnish all of the monthly inspection reports. They had to give us all of the data of all the compaction testing. The building inspector went in there, and I believe he got all of the information he needed, and everything was up to
Was
up
it
to
4
date.
to 6 weeks or 4 months?
I'm not sure at the top of my head.
I mean, they started work without the permit, so it's hard to say exactly when it began because we, was done without
Didn't
our.
have that pre-construction meeting where all this is supposed to go on?
That was a
That's right.
part of the approval process, and we didn't have that pre-construction meeting. And when we found out about it, we went onto the site and we had the meeting and we got them up to speed.
Is that another violation in addition to starting construction without a building permit?
I think that the violation that we gave them included all of the penalties. That's really an issue with the building department. I wasn't.
But do you know
involved
if
with
that's
that.
been resolved, or are they still, those charges still pending?
No,
I
it's,
believe that everything's been resolved.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, those issues have been resolved. Yes.
Okay, that flies in the face to just simply start construction without a
Right.
permit.
Right, right.
And
It's
taking-
rare for that to happen.
Excuse me?
It's rare for that to happen.
Okay, I understand that, but I'd be concerned to make sure they were cited, that there was a penalty paid.
Wayne, would you happen to have information on this? I don't know if you handled it. I know you may not handle, all the issues, but you'll have to tip that. That's it. Thanks. Wayne Chacon's one of our building inspectors.
Wayne Seshan, Deputy Building Inspector for the town. As soon as I was notified that there was a project going on in the town that didn't have all the approvals, I went out to the site and verbally gave them a stop work order at the site, instructed them to safe the area, which is what you really need to do no matter what stage a project is in. So they did comply with that immediately. Very shortly thereafter, I want to say that was on a Thursday or a Friday that happened. And then that following Tuesday, they took the required meeting that was missing, which was the mandatory pre-construction meeting.
And Wayne, do you know how long it was from when they started to when we found out?
No, that I don't. I'm not aware of when they actually started this. It wasn't very far into the project, just from, going to the site and visually looking at what was going on. It was definitely at the very beginning stages of it.
Okay, and they were cited for the failure to have the construction meeting. Well, I'm concerned about some kind of penalty paid here for the absolute flagrant abuse.
Well, the problem is...
Not do the permits and start construction. In this day, everybody's got to need a permit.
I think you're right, Bill, and the lesson is that you have to get permits, but keep in mind that the penalties paid are going to be paid by the same taxpayers we're representing. It's the library district, so, not that, you're correct, they should have had the permit, and they certainly shouldn't have started work without the permit.
Did we cite the library district or did we cite the contractor?
We didn't make a citation from the building department on it. We just stopped the job because we knew that they needed to get to the planning department to have this pre-construction meeting.
Do you know if we've cited them for the violations?
We did not at the building department.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
It's all right. Anything else?
Today, Inspector Appreciation
It
Day.
is. We're going to get to that. It is.
You're going to stay around for that, right, Wayne?
Luckily, Wayne didn't know he was going to be called into duty before but we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Anything else? Sean, do you have anything else in regard to? Okay. I think in terms of public hearing number 4, we've had a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Public hearing number 5.
Thank you.
I want to adjourn to a future date. But what I'd like to do, Jim, and give me the correct format here. I don't know if anybody's here to speak to number 5, and I'd like to still hear them if they are here for that. So what's the best way to proceed?
I think the thing to do is to open the public hearing.
Okay.
If you would like to speak.
Okay.
Comments would be of record, and then just adjourn the public hearing.
To a future date.
Might I suggest to the second meeting this month, or later if you feel that that's necessary. But I'd adjourn it to a certain date.
First meeting in June, first meeting in July, something like that.
Maybe first meeting in June. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 5, vehicle for hire code amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here to speak to this public hearing? I see no one. I make a motion to adjourn public hearing number 5 to the first meeting in June.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 5 is adjourned to the first meeting in June, 6-0. And that brings us to the end of our public hearing, so what I will do is run through the remaining agenda items for those who may not have an agenda in front of them, and then we'll take questions on agenda items. Agenda item number 6 is a resolution honoring our building inspectors for its Building Inspector Appreciation Day. 7 is to set a public hearing for amendment to 10 Tucker Drive rezoning. 8 is to set a public hearing for our home occupations. 9 is to set a public hearing for BSC District Signs Town Code Amendment, Business Shopping Center. 10 is to appoint Thomas Colligan in our water department. It's actually having a senior moment. Anyway, 11 is the appointment of James Norman. These are promotions. That's it. Water distribution system operator, both grade Ds. 12 is the appointment of Carla Kruger, permanent part-time senior clerk in the police department. 13 is to approve temporary employment of Athenia Kostakis. I hope I'm not butchering her name. Athenia left, but she's agreed to stay on for a few weeks to help train the new person coming in, which we appreciate. 14 is to appoint Sarah Hutchinson as a police assistant. 15 is to approve the 37th annual Joseph McDonald Bill Cruz Memorial Run. 16 is to waive a park use permit for the fee for setup for kids run and walk. 17 is to authorize of a grant license plate reader to the police department. 18 is to extend the traffic agreement with Dutchess Community College. 19 is to authorize a bond reduction for Inwood up on Fulton. 20 is to authorize supervisor to sign a swimming agreement with the Hudson Valley Community Center. 21 is to accept a certificate of attendance from Peter Finelli, one of our planning board members. 22 is to approve the second annual car show at the Arlington Business Improvement District. 23 is to approve a road name change up at St. Francis. 24 is to accept the town board minutes from April 2nd, April 9th. 25 is a notification from the town of Lloyd of a public hearing. And then we have a few special consents. Special consent number 1 is to authorize submission of home rule request for amendment of library district legislation. SC2 is to appoint Larry Sloman to our zoning board of appeals. And SC3 is to authorize Hildekar Associates settlement. So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for questions on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Doreen, come on down.
Okay, since the special consent items don't show up on the town's website ahead of time, I was wondering if somebody could explain what SC1 is, where it looks like there's some request from the
Yes.
library district to the town?
And I would like to ask Mr. Nelson to explain that.
Okay. The library district is a public corporation which was established by the state legislature. The trustees of the library from both the city and the town are elected by the voters.
I don't think we did.
The original enabling legislation needs to be clarified to determine the number of signatures that must be obtained for each trustee and when the election will be there and the form of the petition. And in order to do that, we have to ask the state legislature, as does the city, to adopt that legislation because it's not local legislation, it's a state law. So this is a request for a home rule message, and the city adopted one on Monday evening, which mirrors it.
So is this a new problem or something that's existed for many years?
The original legislation was adopted in the 1980s and has been amended a few times. It appears that this was a problem that was recognized fairly recently. I'm not aware that there were any practical difficulties in the past, but it required clarification.
Okay, thank you. And then SC3, a settlement for Hildekar. Are you able to say what that is?
Yes. We settled a longstanding lawsuit, probably, well, certainly, hopefully, the last one related to the Tucker Drive mess. And this was a lawsuit that, extends back to, 2007.
The incidents go back to 07, 08.
But it's basically a settlement, Doreen, where we've agreed, and it, we'll read it in the resolution, but.
Okay, I can wait till then.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anybody else? Seeing no one, I make a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ann?
Okay. Whereas a community draws its spirit, strength, and values from concern and commitment of the individuals serving within its boundaries, a strength measured in national pride that has enabled the town of Poughkeepsie to grow and prosper, and whereas the people of the town of Poughkeepsie have long benefited from the dedication and exceptional service provided by the building inspectors of the town of Poughkeepsie, and whereas we gathered here today to honor building inspectors for their leadership and dedicated service that not only ensures a safe and healthy environment for our residents, but shelters them from the extremities of severe weather and natural disasters, and whereas numerous projects which have improved the quality of life of the town of Poughkeepsie would not have been completed without the diligence of our building inspectors' crusade for the safety of the public. Now, therefore, Todd Tancredi, supervisor of the town of Poughkeepsie, along with the town board, expresses their gratitude to all building inspectors and hereby proclaims Friday, May 14th, 2014, as Building Inspector Appreciation Day. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think sometimes the idea of building inspector and appreciation don't necessarily go hand in hand, but it should, because these guys go out in the community and they keep our residents safe in commercial and residential buildings because they make sure that people actually follow the rules. I've told people over and over and over again that a good investment is getting a building permit. A lot of times you have contractors that want to avoid that, but when they avoid it, a lot of times they tend not to follow the rules and not to do it the way you're supposed to do it, which causes problems down the road for people. So I personally appreciate all the work that they do. I think the residents should have a better understanding sometimes of why it's important to get the building permit. And it's not because the town's trying to cost them more money. It's because the town is trying to make sure that they're safe in their homes and in the businesses. And I just want to specifically thank Wayne for his work in the town with what you do and the enforcement work. And there was an issue in my ward recently that there was a problem as far as a type of use and the use in the building and the problems going on, and Wayne was very proactive in getting that resolved, and the residents in the community are thankful for that. Even though they may not specifically know that, Wayne, you were involved, I'm thanking you on behalf of them because, again, I think the appreciation side of it sort of doesn't happen enough. So it is nice that somebody came up with this idea, because those are the people that keep people safe. And when you see in other communities when bad things happen and they try to figure out what happened, a lot of times they turn back to the municipality and look and see where the things have kind of slid through the cracks. And I like to think that people come into our town, there's a reasonable set of rules, and we apply them even-handedly to people. And so, thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Wayne's here representing our building department, led by Tim Sickles, Tom Wycheck, and Bruce Flowers. Wayne, since you're here, I'll focus on you. Wayne, Stefan's right. Wayne's extremely organized, extremely detail-oriented, which is really super for the cases he handles. So we probably don't say it often enough. I butcher your name pretty much every time I have the opportunity. Shishan, I'm trying to remember. There's a S. The C's aren't hard C's, but I appreciate the work you do for the town and all the guys. And if you can relay our appreciation to them, that would be great. So thank you.
It doesn't mean that you have a day off, but Todd is going to buy you lunch wherever you are.
That is true. I will take you up on that. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thanks, Wayne. All right, number 7. Whereas the town board has determined that the neighborhood business district zoning designation currently applied to town property located at 10 through 14 Tucker Drive, tax number 6262-03-162080 respectively, should be changed to heavy industry district. And whereas the action to amend the zoning map is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the town board has determined that the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development and to the town planning board for review and recommendation, and whereas amending the zoning map requires a public hearing, now therefore be resolved that 1, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed zoning map amendment for June 4, 2014 at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, the town board hereby states that because only the town board can consider and adopt changes to the town code, that it is the only involved agency, and the board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And 3, the town board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for recommendation pursuant to GML 239-M. And 4, the town board refer this matter to the planning board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code Section 210-154. And 5, the town board directs the town clerk to notify the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239-NN. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Item 8, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on the 2nd day of April 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, to consider a recommendation to amend Chapter 210 of the Town Code entitled Zoning, specifically the amendment to Section 210-74, Home Occupations, and does hereby close that public hearing, taking no action on said amendments. And whereas the Town Board has received a new communication from the Director of Municipal Development recommending the amendment of Chapter 210 of the zoning law in regard to the amendment of Section 210-74, Home Occupations, and whereas the proposed amendments are hereto attached and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they, in fact, had been read verbatim. And whereas the action to amend the zoning law is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the amendment of Chapter 210-74 requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendments to Chapter 10 for June 4th, 2014 at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard, in the Town Hall, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, and the Town Board hereby states that because only the Town Board can consider and adopt changes to the Town Code, that it is the only involved agency, and the Board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. The Town Board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to General Municipal Law 239M, and 4, the Town Board refers this matter to the Planning Board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code Section 210-154, and 5, the Town Board directs the Town Clerk to notify the Town Clerks of each of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to General Municipal Law 239NN, and that said law, if adopted, shall take immediately upon the filing with the Secretary of the State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town Board has received a recommendation from the Director of Municipal Development regarding amending Town Code Section 210, specifically 210-128, entitled Signs Permitted in the BSC District. And whereas a copy of the proposed amendments of Section 210 is attached hereto and made part of this resolution, and a verbatim reading of said amendment is hereby waived, and the Town Clerk is directed to spread the proposed amendment across the record as if it had been read verbatim, and whereas the action to amend the zoning law is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, and whereas the amendment is subject to a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that 1, the Town Board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment of Chapter 210 for June 4th, 2014 at 7 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter may come to be heard in the Town Hall, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 2, the town hereby states that because only the Town Board can consider and adopt changes to the Town Code, that it is the only involved agency. And the Board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinating the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And 3, the Town Board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to GML 239M. And 4, the Town Board refers this matter to the Planning Board for an advisory report pursuant to the Town Code, Sections 210-154. 5, the Town Board directs the Town Clerk to notify the Town Clerks of each of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas Thomas W. Coghlan, by Resolution 1017, Number 3 of 2012, was granted provisional appointment to the position of Water Distribution System Operator, Grade D. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby appoint Thomas W. Coghlan as permanent Water Distribution System Operator, Grade D, pursuant to the notice from Dutchess County Department of Personnel, a copy of which is attached here too, subject to probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law, commencing with the date of the adoption of this resolution. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Just like to say Tom's a great employee in the water department, and I'm glad he's sticking with us and moving up the chain of command.
Got an 85, he was on the list too, so.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas James R. Normandine, by Resolution 620 SC 3 of 2012, was granted a provisional appointment to the position of Water Distribution System Operator, Grade D. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint James R. Normandine as permanent Water Distribution Systems Operator, Grade D, pursuant to the notice from the Dutchess County Department of Personnel, a copy of which is attached hereto, subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law, commencing with the date of the adoption of this resolution. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Just like to repeat what I said about Tom. Jim's a good employee, and we're lucky to have him. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Carla J. Kruger to the position of permanent part-time senior clerk with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department at the Grade 6, Step 1 salary of $19.45 per hour, effective May 12, 2014, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8, no more than 26 weeks per civil service law. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Unfortunately, Carla has to put up with the chief each day, but we welcome her to the town of Poughkeepsie.
She's a nice person. She can handle it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the temporary employment of Athena Kostakis, which employment will be for no more than 40 hours in total at the hourly rate of $30 for the purpose of training her replacement in the administrative functions of the position of part-time senior clerk with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
14, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Sarah B. Hutchinson to the full-time position of Police Assistant Dispatcher at Grade 6, Step 1, annual salary of $40,456 per year, effective May 26, 2014, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Very happy we have her come on board, right, Chief? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from John M. Carge on behalf of the Mid-Hudson Roadrunners Club to hold the 37th Annual Joseph McDonald Bill Cruzy Memorial Run to be held on Saturday, May 31st, 2014. And be it further resolved that a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured has been filed with the Town Clerk of the Town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby waive the park use permit application fee pursuant to the request submitted by the Center for Prevention of Child Abuse for their second annual Step Up for Kids Family Fun Run Walk at the Stanley Still Park Sports Complex on September 28, 2014, contingent upon a receipt by the town of a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee to execute all papers necessary and proper to effectuate a grant award known as SFY 2013-14 Operation Impact Schools Grant Funds from the State of New York Division of Criminal Justice Services in the amount of $22,700, which funds will be used by the Police Department to purchase an automatic license plate reader. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby extend the current traffic control agreement with Dutchess Community College for the period of August 25th, 2014 through May 6, 2015, as outlined in the April 28th, 2014 memorandum from the Police Chief Morrow and the Dutchess Community College letter of April 16th, 2014, copies of which are attached. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the reduction from $199,148 to $80,250 of the performance bond from Key Bank on behalf of the park at Inwood Lake, pursuant to the recommendations of the town engineer and the town planning board, copies of which are attached. So moved.
Second.
For motion and a second, any discussion?
What do they have left to build over there or to do?
Not much. Let's see, I forgot what it was off the top of my
I
head.
don't know. Neil, do you know?
The short answer is not much. They have all the roads have been cut in, water, sewer, those facilities, which were the bulk of the remaining pieces to be done that were guaranteed by the performance bond, those have been tested and installed. The remaining construction is of the units themselves, and I think they probably have either 5 or 8 that are they've started, and those are the remaining ones. So they're wrapping up. I would expect that they're going to be completed this year.
All the drainage is done over there? And it's working, we have no complaints?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's all right. Whatsoever.
Anything else? All right. Good motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Number 20, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie wishes to enter into a written agreement with Hudson Valley Community Center, Inc., 110 South Grand Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, for it to provide swimming lessons to town residents for the summer of 2014. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize a supervisor or his designee to execute an agreement with Hudson Valley Community Center in substantially the same form as attached, of which the agreement is attached. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Tom, would you like to just give us the highlights? I'm Maring, Tom's rec director.
For the last several years, we've been involved with the city of Poughkeepsie with the Spratt Park pool. This year, the city decided not to renew that relationship, so I sought out other locations to do our swimming lessons, and the Hudson Valley Community Center, which you probably better know is the Jewish Community Center, it has space available and is willing to run our classes for us. The way the agreement works, we'll do the publicity and the registration, collect the registration fees, and then transmit most of the fees to them to run the classes. They supply the lifeguards, they supply the pool. It's really an easy package for us, taking advantage of what the resources we both have. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, and I think it'll work out well because we don't have to worry about inclement weather, we don't have to worry about chilly mornings, it's,
The indoor pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did something bad happen with Spratt, Tom, or is the city not continuing their side?
The city did not tell us one way or the other.
Nothing, they just.
Yep.
Right.
We were doing a good job, and they decided they could do it just as well without us. So I do have a question. I viewed the website. I tried to sign my kids up. The problem is, for me anyway, there's no night classes for swimming lessons. Is there something we could work on to probably add that in at some point?
We had to go with the schedule of times they had available.
Okay.
And we did have the weekend, the Saturday class that we were able to keep this year to try to accommodate people who can't come mornings. But other than that, mornings is the time that they have available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Peter Finelli from Dutchess County Planning Federation for a course entitled Planning Board Overview, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second.
For motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie has hereby approved the application received from the Arlington Business Improvement District to hold the second annual car show on College View Avenue on Saturday, June 28, 2014, with a rain date of Sunday, June 29, 2014. And be it further resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the closing of College View Avenue between Fairmont Avenue and Raymond Avenue from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the said car show on Saturday, June 24th, 2014, with a rain date of June 29, 2014. And be it further resolved that a certificate of liability insurance has been filed in the town clerk's office, naming the town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve, subject to all planning board conditions, the renaming of Baker Avenue in the Town of Poughkeepsie to be known as St. Francis Way, and be it further resolved that upon adoption of this resolution and after compliance with all conditions, said resolution shall be sent to 911 facilities for Dutchess County by the Town Clerk of the Town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Actually, the gentleman that I have to send it to over at 911 said that he would like to just check the names out ahead of time, next time around.
Well, I
Yeah.
spoke to him. I told him what the name was. I sent him an email, so.
He said it was okay. He just said for future, just make sure everybody remembers that.
All right.
That's all. He just told me to make.
Okay.
Did you name it?
No, I didn't name it. It was their idea. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the minutes for the following 2014 Town Board meetings, to wit, April 2nd, regular Town Board meeting, April 9th, Committee of the Whole meeting. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be resolved that the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items, to wit. 1. Authorize submission of home rule request for amendment of library district legislation. 2. Appoint Lawrence Sloman, Zoning Board of Appeals. 3. Authorize Hildecard Associates settlement. And be further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the Town Board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Supervisor, on this one, do I read the actual sections at the bottom or just the top?
You have to
Read
read
it all, baby.
until
Read
it says
all.
it is
How
further
did I win that
resolved.
lottery?
It's an easy one.
He's a lucky man.
Okay, here we
Out
go.
the bottom in no time.
While you're reading aloud.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize and direct the supervisor of the town attorney to the town, acting in concert with the designated officials of the City of Poughkeepsie, to take all steps necessary and proper to communicate to the town and City of Poughkeepsie representatives in the New York State Senate and Assembly the town's request for home rule state legislation, Senate Bill S-7085 and Assembly Bill A-9372, bill numbers to be provided, modifying the Greater Poughkeepsie Library District, now known as the Poughkeepsie Public Library District, enabling legislation, Chapter 524 of the Laws of 1987, as amended by the Chapter 627 of the Laws of 1994, as amended by Chapter 361 of the Laws of 1997, and as amended by Chapter 462 of the Laws of 2006, which requested modification is as follows. Those words underlined to be added and those words stricken to be deleted. Section 1, Section 6 of Chapter 524 of the Laws of 1987, relating to establishing the Greater Poughkeepsie Library District in the city and town of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, as amended by Chapter 361 of the Laws of 1997, is amended to read as follows. Section 6, the district shall be governed by a board of trustees consisting of 11 trustees. The trustees of the Greater Poughkeepsie Library District, as of the effective date of the chapter of the laws of 1997, which added this provision, shall become trustees immediately of the Poughkeepsie Public Library District. Underlined, trustees shall be elected by public vote at the general election each November and shall appear on the ballot as provided by the Dutchess County Board of Elections at no charge to the district, no underlining. 7 of the trustees shall be elected by the voters, underlined, within the town, and 4 trustees shall be elected by the voters within the city. The trustees elected by the voters in the town must be qualified voters and residents of the town, and trustees elected by the voters of the city must be qualified voters and residents of the city. Underline, nominating petitions shall be circulated and filed at the same time as independent petitions and determined annually by the New York State Board of Elections. A separate petition shall be filed to nominate each candidate for a vacancy on the board. Each petition shall be signed by at least 25 qualified voters of the city or town in which the vacancy occurs. Petition shall state the residence of each signer, and the state shall state the name and the residence of the candidate. The trustee shall serve for a term of 5 years and until his or her successor is elected and disqualified. 2/3 of the trustees shall constitute a quorum. Actions of the trustees shall be required by 2/3 vote of the entire board. Vacancies shall be filled by appointment by the trustees, provided, however, that an election shall be held at the first general election day after the happening of the vacancy. The person or persons appointed by the trustees shall serve until a successor is elected and qualified as provided herein. Vacancies for trustees elected within the city shall be filled by the city residents, and vacancies for trustees elected within the town shall be filled by town residents. This act shall take effect immediately. This state legislation, which is also being requested by the city of Poughkeepsie, is required in order to provide clarity as to the date of the election of the Poughkeepsie Library District trustees and the number of signatures, the required signatures and timing of the process for their nomination and election. Be it further resolved that the supervisor or his designee may complete all documents necessary and consent to changes to the proposed legislation, provided such changes do not alter the substance of the requested legislation. And be it further resolved that this home rule message involves the continuing administration of town affairs and requires no seeker review pursuant to 6 New York CRR 617.520. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Good job, Bill. You don't have to read another one the rest of the night. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Lawrence Sloman to the zoning board of appeals to fill the unexpired terms of Marcy Marlowe, which appointment shall take effect immediately and expire on December 31st, 2016. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie is party to a litigation brought by Hildekar Associates LLC relating to a sewer pipe on the Hildekar property at 45 Friendly Lane, and whereas the issues involved in this litigation have been reviewed several times by the town board with the attorneys of the town engineer, and several department heads, and whereas by Resolution 424, number 1 of 2014, this board authorized the attorneys to the town to proceed as discussed with said attorneys on April 24th, 2014, regarding the resolution of the Hildekar litigation, and the attorneys to the town having so provided. Now therefore, be it resolved that in furtherance of the above resolution, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie specifically authorizes the supervisor and attorneys to the town to execute a stipulation of settlement and related documents with Hildekar Associates LLC on the following principal terms and conditions. Hildekar Associates LLC will, at no cost to the town, provide a sewer line easement to the town for the area on Hildekar's property where the new sewer pipe will be constructed. The town will, at its expense, install a sewer line in said easement, which installation will allow the line under 45 Friendly Lane to be capped at the sewer manhole in front of 2 Tucker Drive and at or about manhole RIM 15306. The current assessment of Hildekar's Associates LLC's parcel at 45 Friendly Lane will be maintained at its current level until the earlier of 5 years from the execution of the stipulation of settlement or until the property is redeveloped, whichever is earlier. The town will pay Hildekar Associates LLC the sum of $55,000, and Hildekar will provide the town with a general lease in favor of the town.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment on town issues.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody like to address the board? John?
Hi, how you folks doing tonight? This morning, we held the Arlington Personal Firefighters held a basic first aid class for the town employees here in the town hall. I'd just like to thank the folks who turned out for it. I'd like to thank the supervisor and the board for supporting these classes. I think they're pretty important. Hopefully, like the CPR class we did a few weeks ago, they'll never have to use it.
Yeah.
And just thanks again for your support. Appreciate it.
Thanks for doing it. Anybody else? Marlene? Hi, Marlene.
Hi. I have a question in reference to the legislation that Bill read so very nicely. I might have missed something, but who's going to carry the petitions, since some of us are petition carriers, for the trustees for the library? It doesn't say that in there, does it?
No. The petitions are required to be circulated within the municipality where the proposed trustees come from. And there's certain information about the addresses of the signers. There have to be 25 of them. And what happens is these are not partisan party elections. These are the nomination of library trustees, and usually the trustees end up walking these petitions around.
Are they required to, the person carrying the petition, is that person required to sign as a witness or as a notary?
Yeah, at the bottom normally.
That was my next question. I had a lot of those.
I don't think it says it in there. I think that's what Marlene mentioned. Because partisan petitions, you have to have a member of that party carry it or a notary, and the member of the party has to sign as a witness.
I think we've carried these, though, before, library trustees.
We've carried something, but I don't know if they were library or not.
We carried the resolution.
Maybe Tom can clear it up.
Yeah, funding.
What this process does is actually codify what we've been doing for the last 19 years I've been here, and that the petitions are approved by the Board of Elections. They're independent, nonpartisan petitions, and you do have to sign. Whoever's carrying the petition has to be a qualified voter in the municipality, as Jim said, and they're signed by that person.
Carried at the same time as...
Carried at the same time,
Is that somewhere else in the statute, or is that...
I didn't hear that in there.
That wasn't in the resolution, right?
No, there's a reference to these petitions following the process for independent candidates, which is in the election law. And frankly, I can't recall. My guess is that if you circulate yourself, can take the witness, and that you could also have notaries public take the signatures. But
so wait,
the process is in the election.
So the person circulating the petition can take the witness himself, or a notary public can circulate a petition for a candidate and notarize it.
No, they have to. I can check, but I'm not positive.
If Marlene was running, I couldn't carry her petition unless I'm a notary? Is that...
Well, the way the Board of Elections has approved our petitions, and they get approved every year, and they haven't been changed, is that the individual circulating has to be a qualified voter. So if you're a qualified voter, which I assume you are, and she's a town resident, you're eligible.
I may argue with that, but...
Yes. If the notary public was not, I don't believe that would pass muster with the petitions the way they are right now.
I think we've carried these with our petitions in the past.
So when we carry petitions...
We sign them at the bottom,
Yes.
witnessing the signatures.
But we will be carrying petitions for 25 of the trustees?
No.
They
You have
need
to get 25 signatures as a minimum.
Or 25
There's
signatures?
11 trustees.
Oh, we have to get 25 signatures?
They need 25 in total. They need 25 in total in order.
The minimum number of signatures required to run as a trustee is 25. You can get as many as you want,
All right,
but you have to have at
okay.
least 25.
Right.
So, Tom, do those forms actually require that the person getting the signature signs as a witness at the bottom, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Board of Election, now I'm curious, Marlene. The Board of Election, do they have the authority to decide how those petitions are formatted, or is that... Or do they review it in accordance with election law and say these meet? Okay.
I mean, honestly, there's a pretty standard form for these petitions, and that's just what we followed. And the problem has developed because there's been a transition at the Board of Elections, and what we had been doing had no basis in law. So this is just to create...
That always creates an issue.
So
I'm
that
sorry?
means
That always creates an issue.
Tiny.
So that means that any party, I mean, any party is given these petitions and we have to carry them, is that correct? We don't
mean, you don't
have
You don't have to carry
But we're
You'd like
supposed, we
to.
should.
No.
This would
The
be
candidates,
if an
the
individual.
candidates for the, I don't remember ever carrying a library trustee petition. The candidates generally carry them themselves or have friends or volunteers do it. The only thing I think I've ever seen is when there's a resolution that.
There's
but I don't-
something with the library that we have carried in the past.
Yeah, I
and
think so
forget
too.
what
I
it
don't
was.
recall.
I don't remember ever doing that.
For trustee,
Yes.
though.
25 signatures isn't that many, so,
Yeah.
you know, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. It just didn't say it in what Bill read, and that's why I was curious.
Because
You
there's
want him to
only
read it
amending-
again?
No, that's okay, Mark. That's okay.
I'll fax you a copy.
Thank you, Marlene. That was a
Thanks.
stimulating conversation. Educated.
Thanks, Marlene. Anybody else? Yes, Joe.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Commissioner Armstrong, that's right.
Let's keep it formal here.
I'm not a commissioner when I'm here.
All right.
You are.
Just a couple of clarifications. The two gentlemen that were for the water distribution,
Yes.
are they replacing?
No,
or
they're current
filling
employees.
a position or adding to the position?
No, they're, it's step, you know, they took the test, and they get this additional,
Title?
yeah, additional title. It basically.
Title and pay and duties?
Yeah, it gives the
and-
town better management succession, so, you know, if something were to happen to our water administrator, hopefully not, but, you know, if even if he retired, these gentlemen would be ready to step
But
in.
no, they're not filling vacant positions.
No, they're not. They're current employees.
But, all right, so they would be additional to what's
But
already
we
in those
don't,
positions?
we're not hiring somebody into those.
No,
They're-
it's just an
they're getting
additional
a-
title.
Yeah, they're getting a promotion and title, taking on more responsibility, getting some more pay.
Yeah.
But we're not hiring additional employees to fill those positions
But
that they were in.
they would be increasing the people in that grade? The number that are already in that grade of?
I mean, I don't think there's
I'm
anyone,
not
I
sure,
think it's
I'm not
just
sure that the
two.
people in that grade.
It's just those two.
Okay.
But it's a result of them working hard on the job, getting to the point where they're able to move up.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We got good qualified people there.
One other item, is there any, this car show that they're having, does anybody know the details of what they do at that? Or they park the cars on the streets because you close off the whole?
In Arlington?
Yeah, or do they
That's
all
what
go
they
into
did
one
last
spot
year.
into the,
Yeah, no, they're planning
The
on
field?
parking them in they're going to be on the street.
or to park them in
Yeah,
different
and they're going to
spaces on
park
the
them in the
streets?
parking, right, and let people walk down the middle of the street, so.
Like-
And last time was on Raymond, they're not closing Raymond this time, they're closing College View.
Oh, okay.
So all the cars would probably be on College View Avenue?
Yeah, all
Is
the
that what
cars
you're
will be
saying?
on College View,
And there's
yes.
supposed to be some fun things over at the lawn, too, across the way, Bob Legacy said. I forget what, but
I think they said they closed
think going on
traffic
for the
on
kids.
Fairmont all the way over to College View?
Last year
All
they
the
closed,
LaGrange
it was on Raymond.
Davis would be closed?
No, the businesses are open.
Yeah.
No, I know, I
Business
mean
remain-
traffic for.
Traffic's closed
for the
at
side
wherever.
streets.
though.
It's
be
just
closed?
going to be on College
College
View,
View.
the road's going to be closed, they're not going to close Raymond this time.
No, but I thought it said Fairmont over to College View.
don't
Is
know
that
if
what
it-
it said, that we're gonna
I
be
think it's
closed to
College View
traffic or
between
no?
Fairmont and.
Yeah, College View, yeah.
Between Fairmont,
close
So
from
they would be
Fairmont to
closing.
Raymond. That's what it said.
yeah.
They would be closed to traffic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the police department is going to have a program on the lawn of the Vassar alumni. And there's going to be community groups and other things there, primarily for children.
Did they have a time when this starts, or it doesn't say? I
From
didn't see
8
an
to 5.
advertisement for it, that's why it was
8 to 5.
8 to 5. I haven't seen anything out to the public that is announcing it.
Probably haven't yet.
Yeah, they haven't really gotten started yet.
Not till the end of June.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else? Sir? Mr. Town Historian, come on up.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to come and thank
things over
Ann,
to
I
you.
think, for putting my name forward, because she said to me, it's, it's going to be easy to do, I know better. But I do want to thank the board and the supervisor for considering me and also approving me as the town historian. History is my love, and I hope I can be of assistance to the board and also preserve our history. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at any time, anything I can do to help.
I just want to say you're absolutely very qualified for the position. We're lucky to have people like you volunteer for these things because it's important to have good people involved in our community, so thank you.
No, you're quite welcome.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Rich? Got all kinds of important people tonight. Mr. County Legislator?
Hi, all.
Commissioners, legislator.
My name is Rich Perkins, and I'm County Legislator for District 7. That's Hyde Park. Should I say that in here?
All right. We like Hyde Park.
And,
we won't hold it against you.
Wards 4-2 and 4-4 in the town of Poughkeepsie. And so basically, I just want to come and introduce myself and update a little bit on what's going on with the jail.
Okay.
I think you may have heard that this week we're going to be voting on pods. I have been very concerned about the placement of the pods because it would inhibit integrating with the current jail. So what I wanted to do is just show, the studies that we have are the 2003 Zerniglia, Schwartz, and Vitetta study. And the most recent study that we have was the Ricky Green Associates, a validation of the Dutchess County criminal justice system. And these two drawings came from the expansion and renovation of the 2003 study.
I had just a quick
Quite
question.
a difference in the studies. I mean, the original ones looks like it's very thorough.
Yeah, this is
at least more paper.
This ended up being what the Criminal Justice Council, they paraphrased most of this and got most of their information from this.
I have a quick question. How much did those studies cost? Those
I don't have a clue.
ballpark.
Yeah, I just don't want to spend any more money. No, what we spent. This one again was a pretty substantial study. This one was $50,000.
Okay.
This is the current jail, and the sweet spot you can see from both of these, if you would draw a circle around them, would be right here. And studies as far back as the Grossfield study put a number of different.
Rich, what was the date for that study?
This one I'm not sure, but I think it was in the late 80s or early 90s, because when they were doing their drawings, the 95 edition was not there yet. I put the 95 edition on these pages. It wasn't there. So they had considered building behind the 86 edition, and so that was there. But really, the basic thing I wanted to mention is that going from here to here, in the Ricky Green study, what they did is they suggested that the pods, which are the temporary pods, because a lot of people call all the pods, permanent pods, as a group or an area where people are housed. And right now, we're considering putting temporary pods in. We'll bring back people that are being housed out. And the idea is that we will save some money. On this drawing, this is from the Ricky Green. He showed the pods here with new construction here. We unfortunately have resolutions before us that are going to suggest that we put the pods here. And what that will do is prevent true integration of this and eventually force the complete demolition of this, the complete renovation of this, and the additional building here, here, and here.
Just by where they placed the pods?
Yeah, it could. So what you have is it's a process of elimination. In other words, if you have a house and your sweet spot for building an addition is on the south side, and you put a shed up there, you just stopped yourself from putting your addition there unless you move the shed. And if we're going to bring people back, the purpose is to bring people back, we have to leave the temporary pods filled. We can't move them. So that was my concern. I wanted to bring it up. I think people need to know that that's what's being done. There are 5 legislators that support the town of Poughkeepsie.
Well, that technically represent the town of Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say support all the time.
Okay. I will stay by after the meeting, and anybody wants to look at these, you're welcome to share the information. I'd be happy to
Are
spend
there
some
public
time.
hearings? You said the vote, is there a public hearing? When's the vote?
No, there'll be a vote tomorrow night in the Safety Committee. I suppose that there'll be some attempt to change the resolutions with amendments. I hope they're successful. But if they're not, it's not really a vote just to bring the pods and bring people back. It's a vote that's going to force building a brand-new jail complex instead of just addition.
Rich, I'm not understanding that. Now, I'm on the Criminal Justice Council. I've been there since 2006.
No, I understand.
And I can't understand for the life of me how 2 temporary, we're talking about come in on a trailer.
It's the physical location, Bill.
But if they're, Rich, I understand what you're saying.
And they don't come on.
How can that possibly, if they can be moved and they can be picked up and moved, how can that possibly force the county to build 4 buildings?
Well, because what they're going to do is tear down the other ones.
They're going to tear down what ones?
They're going to tear down the 2 current ones, or at least one of them, and completely rebuild the other one.
So the plan you're saying is to tear down the current jail?
Unfortunately, I believe that is.
And the current sheriff's office?
All right.
And the new wing?
Yes.
Well, that's 180 degrees from where I was just on a tour for that place. And the pods that you show are high. And they're built right next to the parking lot behind the main building. And what was explained to me is to go into the parking lot behind the main building and match the pods that are there with enough structure to handle a second story if it's needed.
You're talking about a permanent pod. Again, in the beginning, remember I talked
That's
about
exactly what I'm talking
permanent
about.
pods versus temporary pods.
And temporary pods
And we are
temporary, Rich. They can be moved.
Well, they can, but they won't be. What happens?
But, Rich, you're making assumptions. What about where they stage the construction stuff from? Because I know when we did Arlington High School,
to my analogy.
staging was a major thing, not temporary housing.
Right. I've done development, I've done construction, I've done building, I've done everything for the last 40 years. And if I'm going to build an addition that's going to match up to these 2 places, I don't put a storage shed right where I'm going to build the addition. That's all I'm saying.
If you're doing the analogy of a storage shed, that can be taken down like that. If you were saying, we're doing a 1-story addition that couldn't be built on.
You're putting people in this storage shed. Yeah. You can't take it down because then you have to ship the people back out again. You're putting people in it.
Right. The best thing about it, it's not in the town of Poughkeepsie, up in the north end where those people are screaming for
that
tax
is the best thing about it, actually.
Well, and number 2, it's a very tight site.
Step.
It's a very tight site, and I think the siting of the temporary buildings has to do with more where they can stage the construction, where they can put the steel, where they can put the machines, where they can put the building supplies.
Well, I think you're making a lot of assumptions, and I think that, I've been involved in this.
I have a question.
Pretty deeply.
By temporary, how many years is temporary?
Well, there's some places that use these temporary structures permanently.
But does New York State say,
we are going to
if you do this, you have X amount of years?
We'll be authorized for 5 years.
And so within the 5 years, we either have to have New York State, the county has to have New York State extend it, or the county has to build.
Right.
Correct.
And what it is there's an agreement signed.
My guess is the can will continue to get kicked down the road once we get pods there.
Maybe.
Temporary turns into long-term temporary.
Yeah, but what'll happen is, we've already done that. We've done that to state corrections from 2000 to 2006. We told them we got a plan, we're going to build, we did all that. We never did it. I'm talking about the county now. So state corrections said, okay, your exemption is gone. You have to house those people out. The problem with the pods is they're giving special, what they call a variance, to allow us to have pods for the construction period so that we can bring some of the people that are housed out back to the site, which is a good thing in terms of recidivism.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but the state it's sort of like the Ronald Reagan theory of trust but verify. And as soon as they can give that variance, they can pull that variance. So if the county doesn't stay on
Target.
step,
Yes.
each one of these plans, they pull it. Now we're back to housing out, plus we've spent the money. So there's a big stick in the hands of state corrections. But I can't, I wish there was somebody here who knew more about the construction.
Well,
Two
all I
temporary
can tell you-
buildings doesn't force us to build 4
Bill,
buildings.
Give me a minute here, all right? I certainly don't speak as quickly or as well as you do. But what we have is we have a $1.2 million bond that's sitting there waiting to do all the construction plans and stuff like that. That bond will be activated when we place the pods or when we authorize the pods. There's a lot of things that are hinged on the pods, but what I'm suggesting is the location. That's all I'm in favor of the pods. I'm in favor of some construction. I'm in favor of bringing those people back. The concern I have is that the location for the pods is the best location for an addition to the current facility. If we don't use that location for an addition to the current facility, then we will have to do something else. And that was the plan. That was the plan for Hudson River.
From what you're saying, when you showed the map and you said, where's the sweet spot right there, I would think that would be why you would put the pods there, because that's a sweet spot. And from an operations point of view, that makes complete sense. And again, with the temporary nature of it, if it is going to get built out in the next 5 years, yeah, in order to move those and build permanent there,
that'd be ridiculous.
Well,
right?
No, you could relocate the inmates back out of the county if necessary during that period of time. So it's not.
Let me give you a piece that you don't understand. Once the inmates are here, the object is to keep them here. If we have to, the construction would take 3 years. Why would we have the pods, bring them here, and then get rid of the pods, send them back out, and start building again? Why don't we just build today? Do you see where your logic is going? You just have to realize that.
Well, why don't we're not going to solve this tonight, and I just wanted I mean, if you have questions, Rich will be hanging around, or your county legislator, I'm sure will answer them. But
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Hey, Rich, before you go, what time is the meeting, and you want to tell people it's open to the public?
The committee meetings start at 4:00 tomorrow, and they usually go through to 7 or so.
Okay.
And then on Monday, the regular board meeting will be at 7.
And that is open to the public, correct?
They both are open to the public.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
6th floor of the county office building.
Thanks, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Anybody else wish to address the board with a town issue? Okay, see no one?
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
No such luck.
No such luck. Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session.
Hold on.
Oh,
Hold on.
got one more.
Come on up.
How many inmates are we talking about that are outsourced?
Rich?
200.
200.
A day.
Significant number, and it's just a bad idea all around. I mean, so
Are they at one facility or multiple?
all
Multiple.
over.
They're down to one facility.
Are they?
Really? There were multiple.
At a time. It's some pretty shrewd negotiation by the.
Why don't you, Rich, if you're going to speak, we got to, get you on mic.
The jail administrator is doing an excellent job of placing these people. He it has just recently told us that he has gotten the cost down to $78 a day, which is phenomenal. At one point, it was somewhere around $140, I believe, in the beginning.
Okay.
Are these long-term inmates?
No, some of these people have not even been sentenced or been only been before the judge once.
The nature of county jail is that it's generally under a year, correct?
Yes, it has to be. Yeah. And it's usually a lot of, I think, and yeah, you can't hold me to my percentages because they change too much, but 70% might be awaiting trial or disposition.
And it's a mess. I mean, shipping somebody north or to Albany or wherever to hold them while they're awaiting trial is a problem for the person, a problem for the system, a problem for.
Like I said, I'm in favor of bringing them back. I just am opposed to the 1/4 acre out of the 12 that they have. This is the choice spot for the permanent solution.
Right.
And, to put the temporary pods there forces rather than an addition, but a new complex.
But Rich, that's your opinion, that's the prime spot.
Got a fiver?
But actually,
I'll bet you.
The original study called for,
Anything
the
else,
original
sir?
study did call for expansion behind the current wing they did build.
I was right there, it's right
And-
next to it.
And they're not doing that. They're not even looking at that.
Let's let this gentleman ask a question if he has one.
I'm sorry to keep you.
No, it's okay.
I was a part of the project that was up in Ulster County for the jail project that was there.
Okay.
Bovis was actually the construction management. They tried to build a facility. They had a facility that was already built on plans. The site was too small, so they shrunk it down to fit the site, which created multiple problems across the board. Is that going to happen again at this?
This isn't,
particular site?
we aren't involved. This is a county plan, so you're.
I know, but I'm not trying.
We don't. No, and I'm just wanting you to know we don't have the answers.
I think
I'm
they.
very glad it's a county.
I think they have enough room. We just purchased a few more acres,
Yeah.
and we're up to 12 acres almost. We had 7, so we're going to have enough space to do whatever they choose. I'm just hoping that they choose the most economical solution rather than a little more costly solution.
Now, when you say that, is that going to, projected cost and actual construction?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to
can-
carry on the
can have this
conversation
conversation after the
offline.
meeting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bill?
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following matters, to wit, confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the Town Board, based on the attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved that there will be no action appropriating money. So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Town Board adjourns to executive session at 8:22 PM.